Wait, let's do like 3 deep breaths.
Okay, okay.
Scene.
I think that was much needed.
Yes.
Welcome to Fine Art and Friends, where I interview creatives about their creative lifestyles, their process, and their journeys. Today, I have Leah Bury. Leah is a multimedia creative based in Austin, Texas. Her fascination and appreciation for many different mediums led her to embrace multimedia work, always blending various mediums to tell a unique story. Her favorite mediums include photography, scanography, poetry, digital illustration, and graphic design. She is also a budding curator and event producer, and to date has produced nearly a dozen pop-up art galleries and explores various themes and featuring many local artists. So thank you for being here today, Leah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is a cool location. I love the feel. I love the fresh air. We had some pretty bad weather recently, so it's cool that the weather is weathering today.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So just first and foremost, we'll just do a quick small talk. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. Better
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
Every time I go outside and breathe, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I'm alive.
Okay. Yeah, we love that.
Yeah. And it's nice having rooftop access. Like, I feel like I don't take advantage of it enough. So this is a good opportunity. Chill out on the roof, drink some tea,
Yeah.
talk about art.
Beautiful opportunity. It's
Yeah.
so nice out here. Just being in good company.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. Let me cheers with the end of the cup. It's tea, by the way.
Mango tea, mango green
Yeah.
tea.
So you are a multimedia creative. You bounce around quite a bit with your practices, and a lot of the stuff that you do is very unique. I feel like you have a very unique style. My question right now is there any medium of art that you're just honing into right now?
All of the expensive equipment that I just bought on the other side of this wall will tell a story of my recent fixation, which is music production.
Okay.
About like, what is it? April? About 6 months ago now, I decided, fuck it, which is how I start most of my explorations in different mediums. Is like I have a whole internal like monologue leading up to it of why I shouldn't and why it's too late, whatever, and then I just like reach a point where I'm like, actually no, fuck that. I'm gonna try it. So yeah, purchased Ableton, started making beats, then like got myself a little at-home studio set up and have been experimenting, practicing piano,
Okay.
combining it all together, and just really really experimenting with making songs, songwriting, and have been having a lot of fun with it.
Okay. Heck
Yeah.
That's cool. So the latest media that you're getting into is music and music production.
Yes.
Fuck yeah. Okay, that's dope. What type of music are you trying to create?
That's a big question.
Uh-huh.
Right now, I'm like, every time I make a song, it's like a wildly different genre and sound, and I'm just embracing that. But I've noticed over the last 6 months a trend of really being into like kind of glitchy sounding things. And then most recently, I've been getting really into vocal layering, which I feel like creates this vibe of like, I guess I'm trying to recreate what it feels like to be inside my head, but in a way that's less torturous and more artistic.
Yeah.
But lots of different voices happening at once, saying all kinds of things, and I'm trying to make it into like more of a sonic experience that sounds good versus it doesn't always sound good in my head. So
Okay.
yeah, I would say like cerebral, like yeah,
Okay.
a little bit of rap, a little bit of like spoken word vibes, singing, some no voices at all, just sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting you said that you wanted to take stuff that you hear in your head and basically put it out into the world. You're like manifesting yourself almost, you know? And I think that's wonderful. Even with the layering of vocals that you're focusing on, it's like you're creating an atmosphere. And that atmosphere is you. I'm gonna wait till the wind stops blowing. Okay.
I think so.
So out of all of the Okay, well, cool. So right now you're honing into music and music production. Out of all of the mediums that you have done in your life, do you have a favorite or maybe one you keep returning to?
That's a good question. I don't know if I do.
Okay.
I think I like them all. Each one that I collect, I feel like I start to form new attachments to and like have a unique relationship with, and like different languages that I speak with them. And I wouldn't say I have like a favorite. I think writing was like my first, I always say writing was my first creative language. So that's like the first language I spoke creatively, and now I'm just like learning other languages. So I do think there's an element to words and writing and stuff that kind of gets incorporated into everything else, but definitely don't think I have a favorite at this point. It's more like, what's your favorite today?
Okay. I respect that. I feel it too.
Yeah.
So I understand. It's dope that you said writing was the first one because it makes sense. Like anything that I've read that you have written is always strong. It's like, I'm like, she a writer. You know, every time I'm like, she's a writer.
Thank you. Yeah.
So it makes sense that like that's like where you started because the proof of that shows. Yeah.
Nice.
This is kind of like a general question. What do you think the importance is in expression through different mediums? I asked that question because I hear a number of professional artists saying, pick one thing and stick with it. Don't bounce around. You're doing too much. Pick one thing. So I'm asking you, what do you think the importance is of not picking just one thing as a creative being?
Okay. I've thought about this because I used to feel a lot of pressure to like niche down as a creative and like pick one medium and get really good at it.
Yeah.
And I had this belief that if I like picked one, doubled down on it, got really good, then in some like far away distant land, I would tap into the true creativity. But I actually think that being like multimedia, it almost keeps you humble because you're never, maybe you get really, really good at one thing, but that doesn't become your goal. You don't become so focused on becoming good at like one medium. You're more focused on the exploration and like having fun and being playful and seeing what comes from that. And I think that keeps me humble as a creative and also just keeps the stuff that I do more playful because it's always incorporating like the different, whatever I'm like focusing my attention on that month is like going to influence the way I do things. So maybe one month I'm like really into collage and then I'm doing a lot of different types of things with collage and branching into it. And then I'm doubling down on photography and then I don't focus on that for like a month and I go to music and then I bounce back to photography. And now I'm like thinking of all these musical concepts and applying them to photography. I feel like that keeps things fresh versus like this constant like steady pursuit towards what feels like, not that choosing one medium means the path has to be a straight line, but I feel like when you choose one medium, the pressure is a lot easier to like really be good at it because it's like,
this is what you do.
This is what you have.
So you're saying with all of the talents and the skills that you have, you don't necessarily have to be the best. Like you don't have like one. It doesn't have to be a prodigy.
Yeah.
I think it's very important that you said you'll take language that you've understand or concepts that you've understood from music and apply it to photography or maybe vice versa. So I think can we talk about that a little bit? Like having one medium maybe influence another in a certain way?
Yeah. Well, I have this theory that like your first creative language gives you an accent in the other creative languages.
Okay.
Which I know I said writing was my first creative language, but also like Photoshop was one for me, like getting into creating art via Photoshop. And now I find when I pick up new mediums, my brain naturally compares things you can do with those mediums to like things you can do in Photoshop. But it didn't really click for me until I started learning music production, and my brain was like, oh, like doing this is like adjusting the opacity or like changing the hue or adding a mask or like doing all these things. Like I just was naturally creating these analogies, and then I was like, whoa.
Crazy.
And that made me appreciate the like multimedia brain even more because I feel like it helps me pick things up more. So yeah.
It's great answer.
Thank you.
Last question, according to this week, have you just locked in on one specific thing or were you bouncing around?
This week?
Yeah, just this week, just currently in Leah's life.
I'm pretty locked in right now because I have a big event this weekend. So I'm like, every day I've been just mainly spending my free time focused on doing things that I need to do for the event, but have been taking breaks with other creative things, but not so much creation focus.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like I have the mental energy for that this week. But like, for example, last night I like practiced piano for like 30 minutes as like a break from the event production thing that's happening.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful that regardless, like it's still creative pursuit. Like even if like, okay, this is where all of my eggs are in this basket, but like in order to work on this basket, I need a break. And that break is still something creative because it fuels you. It fuels your, like, you know, you can't work from an empty cup and you're emptying your cup all day working on certain projects, and then you need that refill. Yeah.
Yeah. For real.
Tight. I think it'll be a great time to segue to the next questions because they kind of have to deal with you being an event producer and an artist. So I'm just curious, as someone who is both a participating visual artist and an event producer, what's the balance between the two? Do you have to section off time to be like, okay, I need to produce these events and like I'll have to create my visual art for myself in certain times? Or is it like you do it, is it like scheduled out? I'm just curious what that balance looks like.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I feel like if we're looking at like the present or the future, I feel like very unsure. But I can speak about historically what the balance has been.
Okay.
I feel like I actually kind of somehow I had more traction with event production before I had traction with like any other outlet of my creativity really, which feels like kind of a backwards way to go about things. But the thing that is interesting about it is that I think doing the themed events pushed me as an artist because I was always wanting to create something to put in the show
I see.
that I was doing.
Oh,
At first it was just kind of like, oh, let me like do something that either something I already have kind of fits in the theme, or let me make one photo or like one illustration that could fit. But then it became like, at least for the bodies of work show, that became like a thing where I developed 2 full photo series because I wanted to come up with an idea related to the body so that I could put it in the show.
I see.
And so both times, the last 2 summers, we've done the show in like July, and I've come up with the idea for the photo series in like June, and then just been like a crazy person having 15 photo shoots in 1 month. But it gave me like a sense of motivation, and then it also was like really nice to pour so much of my energy into something and then actually be able to like show it.
Yeah.
So I think that created an interesting balance of like create the thing so that you can create the thing for the thing, which is very meta. But
meta as fuck though. You also provided so many wonderful opportunities for so many people and creatives in Austin. You know, I don't know if y'all know her before or have participated in any events, but she puts on some dope ass shows. So it's like it's cool that your creative journey has been creating events and artworks for the events, but like even so, the next layer of that is like providing value and opportunity for people.
yeah,
It's been dope.